Cool. So we're recording and yeah, good. I think we're live already. That's great.
Exciting. Yeah, I can
Awesome.
double check on Facebook quick. Let me refresh this. I usually trust it. I just always like to double check.
Oh, you should totally not trust me when it comes to this. Yesterday we almost
Well,
had the goof up.
but you got it. You got it.
Yay. I'm getting
So
better. And it's only
welcome.
101. Look at that.
I know we're kicking butt.
I know.
We really are getting more efficient every time we do
I think
this.
back in October it was like, 110. So I think the fact that we're
Mhm.
where we are, I'm pretty happy about
Let's
that.
go. Okay, and Robin, I'm just gonna mute you temporarily just because there's a little bit of feedback. But anytime,
Okay.
I ask a question or you're ready to talk, just unmute yourself and we'll be good. So, all
And wave
right.
your hands in the air like this, frantically, and then we'll
No, you can just unmute yourself and chat. But either way, we'll get you. But cool. So I'm gonna take a deep breath and then we'll get going.
perfect.
All right. Welcome, welcome, everyone. It is day 4 of our Epic Wellness Week, and we've got a special guest with us today, Epic client Robin. And we were inspired to include Robin in our conversation today because we're chatting all about SMART goals today. So, we're going to break down what is a SMART goal, and there's actually something above a SMART goal that we kind of just recently, learned about, but we have
Yeah.
actually been doing, but we want to chat about it. So it's the term smarter goals. So I know a lot of people, are familiar with generally the SMART goal, but there's another piece to it that smarter goals, and we'll, dig into that a little bit today. And just initially, I want to chat a little bit about goals in general. I know sometimes, people kind of have mixed feelings about goals, and they can be tough sometimes, but we believe there's a way that we can structure them in a way to just even if we have a long-term goal in mind, working on ways to manage or make those steps more manageable. So breaking it down, whether you're looking at a monthly goal or even a weekly goal or every other week, there's a lot of different ways we can keep ourselves accountable. And within the SMART goal, there are different pieces within that again just help us get more specific with what we're actually wanting to do. So, without further ado, I'm just going to cover what the acronym SMART stands for and also the ER within SMARTER. So, S stands for specific. Dr. B's got his lovely whiteboard there. Thanks, Dr. B. So, S for specific, M is measurable. And after I go through all of them, we'll talk more about each one. A is achievable or attainable. Those words are interchangeable. Yeah, I
I
before
wasn't
E
sure.
except after
I
C.
I had to think through that, right? Except that I think I spelled it right, but I don't know. But I think we know what I mean.
No, we get the gist. Yep. And so just a backstory here. There are a lot of different interpretations of SMART. There are different, ways you can spell out the acronym, but for R, we say relevant, and I'll explain why in a little bit. So relevant for R. T is going to be time bound or time based. That's going to be, the timeline that we're giving ourselves. Like I said, generally we do monthly goals, but you can adjust as necessary. So perfect. That's our SMART. So specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. And for the E and the R, E is going to be evaluate. So E is evaluate, and then R is readjust. So within our SMART goal, we want it to be something that's specific. So we don't want to set a goal that's just, I want to lose weight or I want to eat more vegetables. We want to get really specific with what exactly that step is. And me and Dan also in Motivational Monday talked about some different, terms you could use instead of goals. So you could say, my intention for the week or my um oh my gosh, why am I blanking? So intention for the week, like a game plan, or oh my gosh, there's totally another great one that my mind is just doesn't want to come up right now, but you get the gist. So there's
Target.
other ways that we can what?
I
Yeah,
said
target's
target.
a good one.
Yeah.
Target's a good one. And action step.
Oh
Boom,
yeah.
action step. So there's, yeah, if you don't like the term goal, just rephrase it to your intention or your next action step. So we want it to be specific. So, for example, let's say I want to eat more vegetables. And my goal for this week, if I wanted to make it specific, I could do, I want to increase my colorful vegetables. So I want to eat a vegetable from every color of the rainbow this week. Again, you can mix and match to whatever you're specifically working on, but try to make it as specific as possible. And within that specific, kind of dips into that measurable piece.
Right.
So the measurable piece helps us know, you know, how am or where am I in terms of progress? So how are you going to know when you've achieved that goal? And so that measurable piece helps us to, again, just track that progress there. For the achievable part, again, could be attainable, achievable. Within that, we want to make sure that, it's an optimal challenge. So we don't want it to be too easy, but we also don't want it to be too hard. So again, that optimal challenge where we're pushing ourselves, but it's still realistic for us, to achieve it within the time frame that we've given ourselves. And for R, like I mentioned, there's a lot of different, definitions within SMART, but we use relevant and we like to ask the question, why is this goal relevant to you right now? So that really helps you tie, the goal you're working on currently into your big why, into your long term values, your long term vision of health. Why does this specific action step or this specific goal matter to you right now? And I really, really love that question. And I just, again, think it really helps connect that into the motivation and the big why of, damn, why are you doing it? Why does this matter to you right now? And then I mentioned too, the T is time bound. So generally at Epic, we have, 30 month or 30 month, how about 30-day goals? Goodness gracious. So 30-day goals. And yeah, but you're welcome to adjust that if you want to focus on something for 2 weeks or 1 week. You've got the power to do so. So do what's going to work for you. And then the E and the R, I love these pieces. And this is something that we do like with our monthly health coach meetings. We just automatically do this. So we evaluate, how's this past month been? So if we set a 30-day goal, we don't want to only consider, I think our minds often go first to what didn't work well or, yeah, if there were challenges or things that come up. And that's of course important to consider, but along with that, it's really important to think about what went well. So even if, you didn't quite achieve that goal, still within your, progress towards that, what did go well? And if there was something that, came up or, you know, maybe you got sick or there was something that came up that hindered you from meeting your goal, just take that into consideration and, you can use that in the future to readjust. So thinking about, what were those things that kind of got in my way that I maybe wasn't anticipating, but now I'm thinking of it so I can anticipate it for next time and really be, ready for that. And I think the smarter goals really work well, if you don't necessarily have, a health coach that you're talking to every month, because I think me and Dan talked a lot about when we were chatting about New Year's resolutions and why, 80% of New Year's resolutions fail, which is a fun fact. I love that. But I mean, there's a lot of reasons why, but I think when you have a year long goal, that's such a long time to work on one thing. But if you can separate it into manageable chunks, so have, your first action step for January, or, continue to adjust that as you go on and continuing to evaluate and readjust as necessary instead of, kind of spinning your wheels trying to work on the same goal. And yeah, so that's a big overview of Smarter. And before we dig deeper, Dr. B, I know you've always got thoughts and things to say. Just wanted to check. Yeah, do you have anything to add on to that? And then I've got
First,
a question for Robin
first of
too.
all, I was blown away when you brought up smarter goals. I mean, we've been using smart goals at Epic for I don't even know how many
Mhm.
years at this point.
A long time.
And when you said, "But what if we do smarter goals?" and I
Mhm.
was instantly intrigued. Um, and I love, there's a play on words going on there too, of course,
Mhm.
because the smarter is better than the smart goal.
Yeah.
And I think that it's interesting. that I just wanted to throw this out there that we the tool that you're teaching right now is applicable to so many areas of life. It's
Right.
not just, I mean, certainly at Epic we focus on health, right? And I think, of course,
Right.
health is our number one priority, because if we don't have our health, we don't have anything. And I truly
Mhm.
mean that from the bottom and the depths of my soul. But the reality is, this is really the same process, just so that we're transparent. This is the same process that we use in our business structures.
Mhm.
We set annual targets, we break them down into quarterly targets, and then we take the
Yep.
quarter, we break it down into monthly targets, and then we break it
Yep.
down into weeklies. And we're really doing the same thing, being highly specific, what's measurable. I'm see if I can do them: achievable,
Mhm.
relevant, and
Yep.
time bound. And then, as you said, I think that just naturally in the coaching process, or in the
Mm.
just, I don't know if it's the way we're programmed. I don't know what it is, but I mean, there is that piece of evaluate and readjust, all the time.
Right.
Is it working? Is it not working? And I know that when I meet with a new client for the first time, I'll always say, hey, we're going to check in with you once a week, so that we can find out, how you're doing, what's
Mhm.
working. Let's keep doing that stuff. What's not working, let's talk about those challenges and see if we can,
Right.
find a different way to get the job done, basically. And we
Mhm.
set that up from the get-go. It's just that we've never had the acronym SMARTER to do that. So
Yeah.
Natalie, hats off. Seriously, I mean that. It's brilliant,
It
brilliant.
wasn't my idea, but I did find it, so I'll take
Well,
credit for that piece at
yeah,
least.
that's,
But
what, we're in
it's
the postmodern world though, where there are no new
you're
ideas, right?
right.
All we're doing is
Right.
finding other people's information and putting it together in a more usable space. Yeah.
Yep, there we go. And I just think, I mean, yeah, like you said, we've been doing this, like I said, evaluating and readjusting, but I think it's again so important, yeah, whether you're, looking at a month-long goal or like I said, year-long goals can be really overwhelming.
Mhm.
And, if you can tackle that and you're ready to go, great, good for you. But it can be overwhelming. And also
And
you
I
think, yeah.
just want to talk
uh,
quickly. I want to give Robin Robin, by the way, has a wealth of
right. I
information
was
to
gonna
offer here.
ask.
But I do want to
She
just
is
offer
amazing.
one thing that is two things that are real here,
Hmm.
and that have been studied over and over again, especially in business and in metrics, that are highly applicable to what we're talking about. Number one is Drucker's law, and Drucker's law says that if it can be measured, it can be improved upon. So I like the fact that we have measurable in there, and we have to be really specific about how we're measuring things,
Right.
which is why Epic is really data driven, right? Because I mean, if we can quantify something, including subjective symptoms, we're going to
Yep.
quantify it. So we're going to do it. If we can measure it, we can improve on it. Drucker's law. But the second piece is, um, the second piece is Parkinson's law, and Parkinson's law is the time bound. Parkinson's law says that the job at hand will take as long as the time assigned to it. What I mean by that is, if we have these year-long goals,
Mm,
if we are lucky enough to stick to them, right,
right.
to begin with, it's going to take a year to get there, right? Whereas if we said, I want to be there in a week. Now, granted, I mean, I don't, I'm being a little
Yeah.
facetious here, right? But, or I want to start that tomorrow, then
Mm,
it'll be done by tomorrow. I mean, and it's true with our health goals, with our relationship goals, our business goals, our,
mm-hmm,
all of that. It will take as much time as we allow it, because we
mm-hmm.
don't really fully understand it, but we've studied that. There's a law. It's called Parkinson's law.
Yeah.
Or it might be called Parkinson's rule, one of the two. I might be wrong about the
That's
law or the rule, but nonetheless, it's been studied enough to know that
mm-hmm.
whatever time bound, whatever we bind the time to, is how long it's
Yep.
going to take. So be highly
Interesting.
specific on what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Again, when it comes to the measurability and the time factor.
Love it. And Robin, yeah, I definitely want to chime you in. So we'd kind of chatted about this before, but I'm curious in your experience as you've, made goals, whether they were smart or, just like a general goal. I'm curious to hear your experience with, you know, even before you knew what a smart goal was and kind of how it was or how it helped you to structure it within that kind of smart template. Because also I'll just give everyone a little backstory too. So Robin, as I mentioned earlier, is an Epic client, and I just am blown away by her smart goals every month because she really does. She we break it down into SMART, and then she'll, observe that and put it into like one or two sentences. And so, Robin, I'll give you the floor. And I know I just mentioned a lot of different things there, but wherever you're inspired, we just love to hear about, your experience within goal making.
Okay. I think for me, ever since I was a little girl, I've always been a list maker and I've always made lists, but I wasn't always achieving the things on those lists and I felt like I was failing. When I did that clear up into my 20s, early 30s, just making lists all the time. And I'd have these huge lists, and way too much to accomplish. And then I'd get frustrated and I'd give up. And then I started learning about goal making. And I've had, there was a job I was at when I was in my 30s where they actually taught us about SMART goals. So, that really helped me a lot, because then I could, instead of just making lists and having a little plan, but without a lot of forethought, then I had to put some forethought into it. So I think too, something else that, like, before you even set a goal, for me, what's the goals that I have actually achieved are ones that I was inspired to achieve, not just motivated. And I had this conversation with my brilliant, beautiful daughter-in-law the other day about the difference between inspiration and motivation. So
Wow.
if you're motivated, you're getting, motivation comes from outside sources. So you're always having to gather motivation, and other people are having to pump you up, or books, or, movies, or whatever. And you're trying to gather in all this stuff, and it's so exhausting. But if you're inspired and it's in your mind, in your heart to do something, you're going to achieve it. You can write it down. Like, there's things that I have been inspired to do that I wrote down, walked away from, didn't even remember where I put the paper I wrote it on. And later I realized I was achieving it just because I had been so inspired to do it, and it was ingrained in me.
Robin, you just
That's
inspired me.
right. That just blew my mind.
So I
Oh
just want to show
my.
you, I want to show you the master list maker here. This is my planner today. That is my today. I have check boxes over on this thing. I have notes to myself over here. And I just at the top changed some words this morning. It said, what is my intention for today? I had already changed that to what am I excited for today? But now I'm going to change that word excited to inspired. I don't know what the sentence will be or the question will be, but literally my whole planner,
Right.
it's
We use that
insane.
every day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I use this every single day. I know we love it so much that we make Natalie use it too. So
Yeah, no, it's okay. It helps keep on track, but wow, that
that's
I
that's
am at a loss.
inspiring.
I know, and
Right.
that kind
Mind
of
blowing.
blows my mind a little bit. Yeah, oh my goodness. So how is that, coming to that realization, Robin, like how has that changed, you know, how you prioritize certain goals, or how you, work towards them? I don't know if did that question make sense?
Yeah. I think that now I've learned to break down my goals into manageable pieces. And I think, using the SMART goal helps you do that,
Mhm.
because you have to get very specific. So you have to know what you're going to do before you set that goal. You have to gather information. So that's another thing I think that's really important, is gathering the information, because, like, for example, my weight loss goal, I was wanting to lose weight, and I was trying and trying, and I was living on salads and protein bars, and like then I'd get tired and I'd stop by for some fast food, so that was some calories. But according to my Fitbit, I was burning over 2,200 calories a day, and yet I still was not losing weight. So it wasn't just the fact that I didn't have a good goal, I didn't have the right information to know how to achieve that goal. But going through Epic and getting the blood test and knowing what I was deficient in, and getting the help for my thyroid and my adrenals, I had the severe vitamin D deficiency, which I'm sure affected my hormones and my weight loss and other things. So having that right information and then setting the goal, like now, today I weighed myself and I'm at 150 pounds, where I had gotten up recently was a few months ago, I was 174.
That's
So
awesome.
this in this short time, just setting these SMART goals,
Right.
I've gotten down 24 pounds.
That's awesome. Congratulations.
Oh,
Trying and trying for months and I couldn't lose any
right.
weight.
That's
And
awesome.
I was getting
Right.
plenty of exercise too. Like I was doing the right things,
Mhm.
but I didn't
Right.
have the right information to
Yep.
do things to take care of myself.
I
Yeah.
love that. That's awesome.
That is that's incredible. And that makes me think too, within a SMART goal, it doesn't necessarily have to be. So when we consider like the stages of change, we have pre-contemplation, contemplation, preparation, action, and maintenance, and then relapse. But within that, like, even if you're not quite in the action stage, if you're in like the preparation stage or the contemplation stage, you can still make a SMART goal around gaining more information or joining a community of like-minded people so you can start learning more and getting inspired by other people, like Epic. Yeah, like the Epic 5 plan community. But it really does help because and it also, I don't know, in your experience, have you, well, I can like just sense it in your smile. I love your energy. Have you, just how has it felt, or what's been different for you since, joining, a community and being able to gain this information and work on these steps in more manageable chunks? I'm just curious, how does that make you feel all considered?
I I think having the Facebook page and being able to share things here and there, being able to participate in these Zoom meetings, like you guys have inspired me a lot. So that has really greatly helped me because my main support person abandoned me. Like she doesn't even talk to me anymore.
Oh,
And that's fine because I feel like I'm still good to go. I'm still inspired. I'm inspired and I'm motivated because I do get motivation. It's not that we don't need motivation, but
right.
you guys motivate me. I come back for more so that I continue in my inspiration.
I love it.
So I really, yeah, I don't know what I would have done if I didn't have all of you.
Well, we're so thankful to have you too. Like I said, I mean, I think that inspiration is mutual because, I mean, yeah,
Absolutely.
it's just amazing to see. Because I know that, we're here to support you and guide you through it, but you're the one doing the work. Like, you're the one day to day, eating what you need, moving how you can, supporting your body, whether it's mentally, physically, however you can, you're doing what you can so you can be your best self. And for us to just be a small part of that, like, it's just amazing on both ends. Go ahead, Dr. B.
I just wanted to say too, and I think that you said this earlier, Natalie, but Robin, just so that you know, this is like gush on Robin moment.
I
But
know.
your
Ah!
your name comes up a lot, not in a like in our rounds, not because there's anything. Sometimes people's names come up because there's issues that we have to work around. Your name comes up because you're just kicking booty like all day, every day, and you're like, Robin said the coolest thing the other day, and this is what she said.
Yes.
And it's like I feel that it's very mutual where I'm glad to hear that there's it's kind of working in both ways is what I'm saying. It's just
Yeah.
it's awesome to see your transformation, but I just want you to know that we're getting inspiration from you. I mean, you inspired me today. I'm going to change my entire planner. The words on my planner, my first thing that I look at every single day, are changing because of what you said today. So thank you. I really mean that. Thank you.
Beautiful.
That's massive. That's not a small. That's
Right.
not a small nugget. That's a massive thing.
That's huge. Like, I was at a loss for words when you said it because I like,
Mhm.
it makes so much sense, but I hadn't really like thought about it like that. But it really, I mean, yeah, huh, I feel like inspiration is, I mean, motivation is really powerful too, but just to think of it in that way, and also to think, in what ways can I foster inspiration, whether it's, within myself or reaching out to other people or, yeah, there's just so many. Oh my gosh, there's just so much within that. Seriously, Robin, amazing.
So the other
And
thing I want, go ahead.
Yeah.
I think that's where it comes in with the big why. I think the big why is great because that's where we get our inspiration from, is knowing what's at the core, what's the most important thing to us. I took a Franklin Covey planner class because I do planners too. And the Franklin Covey planner class, it was like a 3 or 4 hour class, I think, is one of the jobs I had. And they had us make a bucket list of the biggest things that we wanted to do before we died.
Mhm.
And like when the leader of the class, she's a friend of mine. I still stay in touch with her. She was reading off people's bucket lists, and she was in tears because it was just it's a beautiful thing. And
Mhm.
it really makes you think about what's really, really important to me. What do I really want to leave behind? What's my legacy I'm going to leave when I go?
Mhm.
And so with the big why, like what helped me with the big why is I took some management principles that I had learned, where you're asking why, you ask why, and you keep asking why at a minimum of 5 times.
Yeah.
So that's how I did my big why. Was I said, why do I want to do this? And I said, well, and why is that? And why is that? And
Love
why
it.
do I want to do that? Why? So
Mm.
I kept going with the whys until I felt like I had enough.
I love it. That's what we hope. That's what our hope is for everyone too, because I mean, clearly going that deep into it has, helped you connect more to that and really, like you said, connect it to your long-term vision and how, what you want to be like, years down the road, but also the values and different things that you want to pass down to, your loved ones. And really, yeah, that big why, I was definitely going to connect that too, because like you said, I mean, it, we rope it into kind of that relevant piece. And Robin, I was curious, I was just, if you're comfortable, would you be comfortable like sharing one of the SMART goals that you've made? I was wondering if I can pull it up, or if you're not comfortable, that's okay. But I just think that'd be really cool to just kind of hear it if you're comfortable sharing.
I don't have any of them in front of me. Do you have any of mine in front of you?
I can
Matt, while
pull it
you're
up.
looking that up, Robin, just wanted to, when
Do.
you said Franklin Covey, the first thing that popped in my head was the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People.
Yeah,
And
I've
and
read
then I
it.
was like, wait a minute, that's Stephen Covey. And then I realized that Franklin Covey is a merge with Stephen Covey's. And so
Yeah.
it totally makes sense now. I would love to see that planner. I bet that's a cool planner.
Yeah, I don't actually have a Franklin Covey planner right now. I have one that my daughter had bought me from Michael's when she was working there. But the planner I have right now actually doesn't have the dates in there. Like it has the stickers where you can put it, so that way
Sure.
you're not wasting any space. Because I
Right.
don't like to stuff.
Well, that's like mine too, where mine's just a sheet that I modify on my like a Google Doc, and then I just
Yeah.
I print it out. And so mine just says Thursday at the top because my Thursdays are pretty similar, and then I just write the date up there. But I think I'd be lost without my planner. Now that I've started using it, I was just keeping everything between in my head and then my entire team just handling me. I think that's a good way to say it. And now I feel like I'm less handled now. I don't know. Maybe Natalie doesn't want to comment on that right this second.
No, I would agree. I would agree. I think it's great. And yeah, I mean, we're all a work in progress, and I think it's good that you've got a great, team around you. So we're willing, and I know we need that support at
Hey, I
other
know where my
times too.
strengths are.
A
I know where
little
my weaknesses
push.
are.
Right.
Organization is not. I need a smarter goal around organization, but I got one. I'm gonna start using this planner. I'm using it. It's working really well for me. So
Yeah.
I
See,
think
for
You're doing
me, it's easy to get organized, but it's hard for me to stay organized. That's where my struggle
oh
is,
yeah.
staying organized. But I
mm,
do have my phone. I don't know if you can see that. You probably can't see it, can you?
mm,
I have like my entire month, all of the days that I'm doing certain exercises and
mhm.
stuff,
Oh,
all
that's
of my
great.
smart the things I've got it in my calendar on my phone. So I have my monthly calendar, I have my daily that I can look at, and I have reminders set. So the one things that happen every week, like my HIIT, my hits, and
Mhm.
my stretching or yoga, there's a reminder that pops up at the time I wake up, so I know that day I'm doing that.
I
I,
love
I,
it. It's just and I know Dr. B utilizes his, phone a lot, but it really, I mean, and we were in a workshop with, I believe, is his name Ryan Doyle, Dr.
yep, Dr.
Ryan
Doyle.
Doyle. He talked about, he's like, I mean, most of us are already addicted to our phones, so we might as well use them for some good and, put our schedules in there, send those reminders. And Robin, I have your SMART goal here, and you can, add some things to it. But the one that we had set is, for the next 30 days, so there's our time bound, after work, so we're getting specific. We're going to stretch major muscle groups. You set specific days for that. Then we also set specific days to do hits. You said that was relevant because it's going to help with mobility, reducing joint pain, and hits overall, can help regulate our hormones. And I've also, just a side note, hits are so cool to me because it blows my mind that you can do a 4-minute workout and the benefits will last for hours.
Yeah.
Like, I just love that. So within that, again, that was like a sentence or two. You've got all the pieces within that, easy peasy, and it's relevant to you, and you found a way to connect that to your, you know, higher purpose isn't the right word, but your long-term vision
Yeah.
for, yeah, your health. I love it. So
So
I
good.
with
like that you
that
just
one,
distilled that down into just a few sentences, and yet it was all encompassing.
Right. Love it.
I
Go ahead,
think
Robin.
because when we were doing that, I have the notebook that you guys sent me that where I can put the page where I can put my SMART goal, and I did each of the steps. I put the specific. I started with the specific, what I wanted to do, the measurable, and this was after we had our meeting, so I was informed on what we were doing.
Yep.
So, and I wrote the specific, what I specifically wanted to do. Then I wrote how it was going to be measurable. And then I just went through like each, the attainable, thinking about why it's relevant, the time. And then I just try to put it all together into a sentence or two. And just try to keep it, because I tend to make things too detailed and too complicated. So I always have to work to simplify. That's just how my mind works. I get caught up in the details.
Me too.
But now this one, I have to
Right.
confess, I actually had to do it as a smarter goal because I missed a couple workouts because things got crazy. I was working some 12-hour shifts this last week. I had to work through
Yeah.
the New Year's holiday and stuff. So I've been tired and I haven't gotten enough sleep either because I just have had trouble sleeping and I haven't gotten to bed on time. So that's my confessions. I'm not to the sleep goal yet. So,
That's okay.
but to make it a
Hey, none
smarter
of
goal,
us are perfect. You got
yeah,
it.
I had to reevaluate. I reevaluated and I realized the stretching at night, even though my muscles are stretching better at night, it wasn't happening because I was too tired when I was getting home. So I had to change it and stretch before going to work. Otherwise, it's not going to get done. So I had to readjust that, and then now it works.
I love it. I was literally going to ask you to. It's so funny that you just, said that because I was literally going to ask you if you have, within the month, how often do you evaluate it, or even within that month, you do, like you said, you've got the power and control to switch it up or tweak it if you need to. And I think, you've, again, having that control is awesome. And then tweaking it so you're more successful just makes you want to keep doing it because you're just kicking butt. I love it. Go ahead, Dr. B.
I was going to say too, I love the reevaluate or the readjust, the evaluate and readjust, because otherwise we could set these SMART goals, and I don't like the word fail, right? But let's just use it because it's a colloquialism, okay? So we set these SMART goals and we fail. And going back to the wheel of belief discussion, that Dan and I were having is, some people believe things like, what, I can't stick to anything. I want to work out and I want to stretch my muscles, but for some reason I just can't stick to these things. So it becomes this belief that, I am the type of person that isn't ever going to be successful in these ways. Whereas if we get to that, forget about the belief system. I don't want to go back to the wheel of belief because that's a whole 15,000 hour discussion there, but nonetheless, we have these thoughts, and if we have these thoughts that produce these feelings, and these feelings that produce actions, and our action is actually an inaction, right? I'm not stretching, so therefore I'm not getting the results, which only reinforces that I'm the type of person that can't do these stretches. I'm gonna keep failing at this. So why bother? Is really where we end up with, right? I'm just the type of person who doesn't work with. Whereas if somewhere in that wheel of belief, Natalie, this is probably for one of our matrix discussions that we have, right? But somewhere in that wheel of belief, if we have that reevaluate moment, or I'm sorry, yeah, that evaluate and readjust, just like what Robin did. Hey, it's not working here, but maybe it will work here.
Right.
And rather than thinking all or nothing,
Mhm.
succeed or fail,
Right.
black or white, until we find that system that's working for the
Mhm.
individual, and it's going to be different for each person. Robin, I'm the
Definitely.
same way. I know historically I do better when I work out in the morning. I know that. I also despise, dread working out in the morning. I mean, it's not my thing to wake up and do that. I like a leisurely morning, even though my morning is very parceled out, so to speak. And so for a while there, I had decided I was going to do a workout around my yoga time. I have a pretty good yoga time. That's around 6 o'clock p.m. Every single day. I kind of close my time out with that's when I do my flexibility training and my yoga. So I thought that I would be lifting weights and doing hits and kind of like just put it all together in one because I already have that time set aside and I wasn't doing it. And I started to get into this weird belief loop where I was like, man, you know what? I'm just not good at this. I'm really bad at this until I finally remembered that I can do it in the morning. I just might not love doing it in the morning. So I just this week started adding hits in the morning. My goal is to get my hits in, Natalie, before our 8:30 call every day. And I've been hitting them, no pun intended, but around 8 a.m. And it's working really, really well for me. And then I'm kind of pumped up and I'm ready for the day. And that's why I'm jazzed up on our calls. And, because and it's working, and again, just with these SMART goals, we have to remember that it's not an all or nothing. If it's not working,
Right.
if it's a goal and it's not working, it just means that we need to do the ER part. We have to
Right.
evaluate and readjust. Yeah.
And I think
Yeah, I
within
think
that, or go ahead, Robin.
I was saying, like, you're talking about using the word fail, and like I had even written down a note to myself, like that, to mention that, when, well, first of all, if you fail to plan, you're planning to fail. So we have to
Yep.
plan. Not only do we have to have the goals, but we have to plan. Like I have to
Mhm.
plan my meals. I have to plan, even if it's just like when I'm waking up, I'm laying in bed thinking, what am I going to eat today? What do I have in the fridge? What can I cook while I'm making my smoothie that I can take to work? Because I eat my dinner and my lunch and dinner at work,
Mhm.
and I have my smoothie before work since I work second shift.
Yeah.
And then I'm not, that what keeps me from eating for that 4 hours before bed.
Mhm.
So that way I'm meeting all of my goal. But, not only the planning, but like if we fail, just a couple of years ago, I heard the concept, fail forward. If
Yep.
you're going to, it's
Mm.
not a failure if you're failing forward, if you're learning from your failure and you're
Mhm.
making the adjustments. And that again comes back to
Right.
the ER, evaluate and readjust,
Yep.
because I could have considered it failure this last week when I missed a couple workouts because
Mhm.
I was working 12-hour shifts, you know,
Yeah.
but I just thought, I can't let this keep happening. I got to be able to do this. I got to figure out what's going to work.
Mhm.
Yep.
Sometimes you have to think
I love it.
outside the box.
Right.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
And
yeah,
there's
and it's not the end of the road. Like when you hit a hurdle, you
right.
think about running a race and there's hurdles. When you fall at the hurdle, you get back up and you keep going.
Right.
I'll tell you guys a story. I was a hurdler in high school and I only fell during a race one time, but that's a great analogy because there's almost nobody when you fall over that first hurdle. Of course, you might be, a little embarrassed, discouraged, but you're going to keep pushing and it might be a little bit harder to get yourself back up and going, but you just got to keep pushing. And I think within the evaluate, one of the tough parts as we evaluate is working to be as trying your best to be non-judgmental within yourself. Of course, we want to keep pushing ourselves, but if we're, like you said, just going to have that all or nothing or kind of that failure mentality, it's not going to be constructive. So while you're evaluating, kind of like I mentioned at the beginning, Robin, you considered what is working well. Well, I like, what I'm doing. I enjoyed it, at one point, but there's this one piece that I would like to adjust. And again, you've got to, you gave yourself a little grace, you adjusted, and now you're, back at it. So I think it definitely takes some practice to, you know, be able to evaluate and readjust in a way that we're not kind of bagging on ourselves,
Right.
sort of. If yeah, so that can be kind of a challenge. But yeah, did you have another thought, Robin?
Well, I think something too that really, really gave me a revelation was when I watched, I don't know if you guys have ever heard of Appreciative Inquiry with
Um,
the guy from National Geographic. I don't remember his name. I'm really bad with names. I
I
remember
think I've
facing.
heard of the term, but is it like a show? What is it?
Yeah, it was like a movie that he made,
Hmm.
and to show how basically appreciative inquiry has to do with looking at what's right with the world, looking what's right, what's going right around you, instead of just looking what needs to change and looking what's
Right.
negative. We're looking at what's going well, you know,
Mhm.
because we always have a tendency to look at, oh, this, I hate this about myself, I want to change this, but let's look at, what do I like about me, what do I like about my family, what do I like about my city, my country.
Ooh, this is one fun thing. So this is something, if you want to do some more, inward, just some this is I'm trying to explain it. So there's something that I found a couple months ago called the character strengths quiz. So if you look up VIA character strengths test, there's like 120 questions, but it's free and I really enjoyed it because it helped me to just there's like I think 25 character strengths that they have, and basically it gives you your top strengths, and you can learn more about just kind of the way that you interact, but also that's those are tools that you carry within yourself. Like Melissa just mentioned, gratitude, that's one of the character strengths, and love of learning, and even just perseverance. And I can see that within you, Robin, that just you're just continue to persevere, and even when you know it's not always going to be easy, but regardless, you've got that belief in yourself, and there may be some hard days, but gosh darn it, you're going to keep pushing, and that's just what it is. So if you guys want to, if you're curious about looking into kind of character strengths, I just think it was really fun for me to just think about it. But again, you can use those in your everyday life, and start to become aware of ways that you've used those in the past to problem solve, or
Yeah.
give you hope and just help you keep pushing forward. So yeah, I wanted to just kind of mention that because I it's been really just helpful to even just include or increase my mindfulness around that. And it
Mhm.
also increases positive thinking because you're thinking, okay, how have I used my gratitude in the past to get me out of a negative thought pattern? Or, yeah, there's so many different ways you can use it, but I think it could be really, really powerful and just give you more positive perspective and tools to use during those tough times.
Right.
Yeah, I've actually done a couple different like of those type of like character strength personality
Hmm.
tests. I've done recently the 16 personalities, and
Gotcha.
to see, because that kind of it does help you to know what your strengths are, because you
Right.
can think about, how can I use my strengths to help me
Hmm.
and keep me inspired to go. You said, and we're not all going to be the same. We can't compare ourselves to other people. I spent a lot of my younger years feeling like a failure because I was comparing myself to all these really extroverted, outgoing people. And I'm an introvert, like maybe an extroverted introvert. I don't know, but
Yep.
I'm
Same.
not,
Same.
I'm not a super
Yep.
people-y person all the time. I have to have my me time to
Mhm.
gather to myself and just get
Right.
my energy back.
Yeah, but that's such valuable information to, you know, learn about yourself. And I know we might be, aware of those strengths in some context, but just to, and also one thing too, the strengths, so they list them out from like top strength to, you know, bottom strength. And of course, most people go to see like what's my
Yeah.
lowest strength. But we talked in my class about how, it doesn't mean that you never use that. It just means that it's just not one that's as common. So you can take that, learn more about it, and you can use your creativity. That's another strength. You can use your creativity to think of, okay, I don't use this very often, but maybe how could I use this in the future? Or maybe how have I used this in the past? And I think again, it's just really powerful and just gives you some more internal inspiration. I'm going to use inspiration all the time now.
I love that too.
Uh,
I
Go
totally.
ahead, Dr. B.
No, and it just reminds me of, I mean, this is kind of cliche, but it reminds me of that Thomas Edison was getting, interviewed, and when he had invented the light bulb, and it came up that he had, quote, failed at it,
Yeah.
so to speak, over 1,000 times. And the reporter
Mhm.
said, what did it feel like to fail at something 1,000 times? And he said, oh, I didn't fail. I just figured out 1,000 ways not to make a light bulb,
Yeah.
And I love that
I love
story
it.
because talk about failing forward, I mean, that's
Mhm.
a prime example of, I mean, seriously, and I mean this about myself too. How many times, I mean, 1,000 times is a lot of times to not
Yeah.
get to your end goal, right? I mean,
Mhm.
that's a lot of
Right.
trial and error and many years of trial and error there. And I think
Mhm.
that's an amazing account, so to speak, of and hopefully an inspiration for all of us, because
I
because
agree.
you know what? I was going to say a great person inspiring great people, because you know what? We're all great people. We have it inside of
We
us.
are.
It's just that these belief systems, again, we get
Right.
we get caught up in that negativity, like you said. I think we
Mhm.
gravitate to that. And you know, I'm glad to see us all coming out of our shells, so to speak.
Yes. Oh, I love that we're all just carrying on with a smile. I think really it's just so powerful, the sense of community, and also just to know that you're not alone, and everybody is going to make mistakes, but it's really a matter of how are you going to react to what just happened, and how do you want to move forward, and yeah, there's of course a lot that goes into that, but it's I'm loving this call. Go ahead, Dr. B.
I was just going to say, I love music, and I love
Mhm.
80s music. And it reminds me of that line from that Aha song, Take on Me. One of my favorite lines of all songs is in that where he says, it's no better to be safe than sorry. I love that line. We got to take risks. We got to be willing to fail, because otherwise, who wants a life of mediocrity? I mean, seriously, I
Right.
mean, I don't think anyone woke up and is like, what I'd like is to just be mediocre. I would like, not too much, not just a fully mediocre life,
Just meh,
you
a
know,
little lukewarm.
little
Yeah.
lukewarm, not great, not,
Could be
I
worse,
want
could be better.
yeah,
Yep.
I don't want to be
Right.
bleeding, but if I'm not bleeding, it's okay,
It's tough. And I think, yeah, I mean, it's hard with, some of the societal expectations, but I feel like, this group really helps us to just kind of I keep going back to inspiration. I think it's just so helpful to consider and to hear other people's stories, and how other people are dealing with things. And there's this one word, and I've talked about this probably not in here, but I found this word like years ago, and I literally think about it with pretty much every interaction I have with someone, not even like when I'm talking to someone, even people I'm passing on the street, or like people I see walking their dog. So the word is sonder, Sonder. And there's a couple definitions, but my favorite definition of that is the realization that every person has a life as vivid and complex as your own.
I love that.
So it is just incredible, because you'll never know everything about a person, but there's always, I know there's something that you guys can connect on, and like we're all a part of the human race, and there's just so much that we could do to build community. But I love the term sonder, because I just think it just keeps it just makes me more open-minded, and makes me more curious to learn more about people, and how has their life experience been unique, because everyone's had a completely unique experience on this thing we call earth.
Rock.
And I don't know, yeah, literally we're meat bags hanging out on a big floating rock, so just take with that what you will. No, but it's, yeah, I don't know where I was going with that really, but I just really love that word, and I don't
So
know.
my belief is we're spiritual beings having a human experience.
Absolutely.
Yes, I
Absolutely.
saw that. I actually
I
watched a
saw
video.
that somewhere and I like it.
Right, I saw a
One
video
thing,
just yesterday about that.
when one of my this biology class I took in college, they actually had us take a test to see what kind of learner we are. Because there's visual learners, there's auditory learners, there's hands-on learners, and then we're all some combination of those. And that
Mhm.
helped me. That I learned so much about myself, and it helped me to study and helped me through college. And I figured out for myself, I'm mainly a visual learner, but I'm also hands-on.
Mhm.
So as a visual learner, I can't just sit there and look at notes all written out and learn it as well. I had to do
Mhm.
tables, symbols, colors. So when I went to set goals, when I took a personal finance class in college, and he had us do something like this. So basically, I don't know if you could see that. There's
Yeah.
you put your 30-year goal in the center, and then you break it down in fives, and then you have
Yeah.
your start.
I
And
love
that I think helped me too, because then that picture of that is in my mind.
Mhm.
For
I
me,
love
tables
that.
work too. But then I also did, I did made a little thing like as an example from the
That's
Epic,
what I was gonna
where
say. Yeah.
my health goals, and I did it. This is more like a spider web. The other one was a wagon wheel, but this is a spider web, and I put little symbols on there and colors.
Oh, I
And
love.
I
then
like it.
like how things, you know, like I have the movement. I did it brown because, you know, brown and yellow, you're outside hitting the ground, sunshine.
Love it.
Well, and then I have my hits and my 30 minutes coming off of there. But then like sweating goes kind of between detox and movement. So that I put all the way across. So just showing it, for me, it gives me a visual how it all interconnects too. And so I've
Right.
kind of put all the pieces into a visual for myself.
That's so
So
cool.
like when you're setting goals, you don't have to sit there and write out a paragraph or something. You can draw a picture. You know, some people start in the center and keep writing outwards, so it's a big swirl.
Mhm.
Right. I
Do
love that.
Right.
whatever
And
works for you.
yeah, that 30-year plan too, you could even break, just use the same concept, but break that down into a monthly goal. So you have your
Yeah.
monthly goal in the middle, and then you're like, okay, this first week, this is where I'm going to be at. Second week, this is what I want. Third week. And that also just helps you, again, keep track of that measurable piece, but helps you reevaluate, each week because you're like, okay, this is where I thought I would be. Is this realistic? Do I need to adjust my other weeks based on how this first week is gone? But that's really cool.
That was
Robin,
super cool.
I knew you were the perfect person to have
Seriously.
on here today. I love this so much. Go ahead,
Robin, when we
Dr.
were
B.
talking about this particular day, um, Natalie, like out of the gate, that I know exactly who I want on Thursday. It was just so. And then when you said that you were available, she was just like, yes, yes, yeah. I mean, it was so great. Hey, I was just going to give us a
So
flag.
good.
We're basically out of time,
Yep.
so I wanted to give everybody, last words, and now I'll
Mhm.
just let you kind of guide us home here.
Yes. So I'll let Robin, if you have, a final piece of advice or a take home, message that, if someone just saw this last bit here, what would you want to be the take home message for them?
I think, wow, I mean, like putting it all together, just making sure, you know, just staying positive,
Hmm.
keep reevaluating, don't give up.
Hmm.
Um, just keep pushing forward. And if your goal isn't working, you can redo the whole thing, start all over.
Right.
You
It's
know,
okay to start over. We can
Okay.
give
yeah,
ourselves some grace. And I think the big thing is we're trying anything and everything we can to get ourselves into that best version of ourselves, and there's going to be trial and error, and there's going to be some things that don't work, but like Dr. B said, hey, you just learned one thing that doesn't work, let's try something else.
yeah. I did
And
that with college. You know, I tried to go to college when I was 18, didn't know what I wanted to do. Um, then I tried, you know, it wasn't until my fourth attempt at college that I actually graduated. But I had to get in a place in my life. I couldn't do it when I had little kids at home. And I, you know, I wasn't feeling well. That was difficult. I had to wait until my kids were graduated, and then I decided to try one more time and do it, and then I
That's
succeeded.
awesome.
So,
yes.
you know, it took me from the time I started trying to go to college when I was 18. I didn't graduate until I was 47 years old. So, yeah,
But
you
you
should never give up.
persisted. You
Awesome.
did it. I
That's
love it. And I think one last bit too I want to mention is, we've worked really hard to build this Epic 5 community, and one of like seriously, maybe the top goal is we want people to understand that you are not alone. You are never alone. No matter where you are on your health journey, there's someone that I know has either been in that spot or they are currently in that
Yep.
spot. And we have what, 1,700 people in this group, and we had 700 at the beginning of December. So like it is continually growing and will grow. And I know that there are people in this group that will understand, or at least be empathetic enough to try to understand what you're going through. And so if you need help or you want, an accountability partner, feel free to make a
Yeah,
post, reach out, talk to some people, make some new friends, because everyone in this group is health minded and wants to be their best self as well. So just want that, for encouragement as well. And thanks everyone for joining and being a part of this group, because it means a lot to all of us. So thanks
thank
for,
you.
helping us do what we love to do.
Absolutely.
I love it. Any final words, Dr. B?
I was just going to quote Robin and Walt Disney. It was very close, Robin, what you said, but keep moving forward, just like you said. You can always start over. Just keep moving forward. I think the saddest thing that I ever see is when people just stop, and it's just one of the saddest things to me to see nothing but untapped potential in that spiritual being living out a human existence, right? I mean, it's unlimited potential, and I think that we were put here to love and serve and thrive and grow and create. And I just love to see that energy. And Nat, I think you nailed it, that this group is about that in solutions instead of being stuck in the misery. It's about moving forward. And I think that you nailed it down. I think that's why we attract such amazing people like Robin, into the group. So at any rate, thank you guys. Thank you for the
Incredible.
stimulating conversation today too. I appreciate it.
Yes, so good. And as always, I'll post our little post-it note question for the day. So our January, Wellness Week raffle. Basically today we're considering, how can you make your current goals smarter? So, and Robin, you already did that. You evaluated and readjusted,
Yeah.
and here you are. So everyone else out there, is there something within it that
Love
that
it.
could be tweaking? How could you make your, even if that's just being more mindful or setting a date where you're going to check in with yourself on how you're doing? That's all that we ask. What can we do to make our goals smarter? But thanks again everyone
Thanks,
for,
guys.
tuning in, whether you're watching this later or watching it on Facebook. Thanks Melissa and Robin. Thank you again for,
Yeah, thank you guys.
seriously, we're inspired. I loved this conversation, and yeah, we'll be back tomorrow at 1 o'clock for our final day of Epic Wellness Week.
Awesome,
This
guys.
was
See you
fun.
guys.
Thank you for
Thank you,
inviting me.
guys.
Of
Have a
course.
great day.
All right. Thanks
Bye,
again.
everybody.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.